Hey, what's going on, John? Adrian, what's going on with you? You guys got plans for today? I had to manufacture some ammunition for my two kids. So I think Gage actually has enough, but Harley's almost out, so we'll bring some ammo out for them. I am just setting up for it. It's been a little while since I did a live, so we'll kill one this morning while I burn a couple hours. So just load up some 115s for both the kids. So it'll be alright. A couple hours, not even. I should use the same load for them both because it'll go a lot quicker. But Harley has a load she likes. It's actually a pretty stout round, but she's got that gun with a comp. So with the extra gas, it works for her. Gonna go live later. I'll keep an eye on for it. So, John, what's big with you? How are you doing? If I'm not acknowledging you right away, it's just because I'm looking down, but I'm not ignoring you. Check some powder charges, get that dialed in. Turned on. This is a Lee 6000. How are you doing, Desert? It got sent to me a while back, so I've been using it. Not as much as I should. It's an alright press. It has a few issues. I think it's mostly figured out now. They asked me to do a review on it and stuff, and I'm not gonna, use it just a little bit and give a review. So we'll do a 10,000 round review on it. I think I got like another 800 rounds after the 1,000 we're gonna load today. It's a good press, I guess. Especially for the money. Be a good way for somebody to get into reloading. It's definitely not a beginner's press. There's a lot of things happening at a time. If you're a little familiar with reloading, it's not a bad way to get into something. It's definitely cheaper than like the Hornady lock and loads or the Dillons for sure. We'll target 5.7 grains or 5.6 grains. You guys get out and do any shooting? Orange Smoke, what's going on, man? I'm just chatting with you. FKN Jolly, how are you doing, man? I appreciate you stopping by. We're gonna load some stuff for Harley today. Gage. It's gonna be just a 115 RMR bullet For Harley, we have Federal small pistol primers with range brass, been cleaned. We'll load 500 for her with 5.6-ish, maybe 5.5-ish, somewhere in there, grains of CFE. I personally, in any of my guns, I don't like that load, but in her gun, having that comp, it works. It's soft, super, super soft. For Gage, I think we're going to load some 115s again, saying he's got foreign primers, they're harder. His CZ pops him off. Harley's gun doesn't like them, but they're cheap, so we'll load them for him, and I think we're going to load him some tight group, make a nice soft gamer load for him. So you were talking about the 300. Now I gotta turn my brightness up here. See this a little better. There we go. Talking about 300 now. I'm packing up some stuff to go plink. Take some videos, man. I'm curious how that sounds. I mean, I know I tell you, even if you don't want to post it, just send it to me. You got my information. The craziest load I do is for 9mm major. That's a big boy. That's a big boy load. There's no published load data for it, so that's a lot of testing. Some guns handle pressure differently, so I mean it's a Wildcat cartridge, so there's a lot to be aware of when you're loading for it. Everything else, most all reloading is essentially a cookbook. You're taking published data and you're duplicating it. There's things to know, like with rifle brass, trimming it. You got to keep an eye on your case wall thickness just above the head. As they stretch, they'll burst or get case head separation. But like I said, 9mm major there's nothing published for that, so you're just kind of taking it at you're gambling. Brookside, what's going on? How are you doing this morning? How are you feeling? You tired yet? Sore? Did you get lots of fluids when you got home? I know I was pretty dehydrated. When I actually peed, it looked like fucking orange juice. So me personally, when I get done shooting on a match, I'm tired. I'm sore. Once this press gets dialed in, it runs fairly consistent. Just 5.4. Your first like dozen powder drops in the morning or when you first start aren't real accurate because the powder's got to kind of settle down to where it's going to be. Brooke said, after trying the checkmate, did you wake up with a really limp wrist this morning? Like, oh man, you know you do. All bullshit aside, at Mason, he's a solid young man. He had some good parents. Very, very humble kid. Actually kind of really cool being able to take him out. We took him out earlier and let him play with the Barrett. And that was really cool. Some other stuff. And we took him to, or I shouldn't say we took him, he took himself. He met us at the PCSL match yesterday. Shot that. We played a little bit afterwards. Next thing I got to get him out to do is shoot some long range rifle. So definitely a little sore. Your wrists are feeling, oh yeah. Yeah, Ultra Fire, man, everything's good, man. Appreciate you stopping in. I have time to kill today. Wife's gone. Gage is at work. Harley's up north camping. So I might as well get some ammunition loaded for him. He knows that. I'm pretty sure he knows that. Dude, today I lost my pet largemouth bass, and his name is Prime. I need to know more about your pet fish. Did you have him in an aquarium, or was he in a pond? 5'5". I don't recall if I shoot next week. I know I shoot the week after. I think we shoot next week. Somewhere. 5'4". Harley's pretty well out of ammunition. I have lots of stuff here that Gage can use. I bet you he could probably shoot for 2 months on just all the partial lots we have. Once we get about under 300 rounds, I usually load more ammo for him. And sometimes it's the same load, sometimes not, but then the stuff all gets piled up. Usually need about 200 or so. Oh, he's in the water trough. We used to do that too. We used to have, them big bubbly-eyed guppies. We used to put them in the water troughs, and they die in the winter, right? But they would die. Yeah, he's good shit, man. Gage keeps saying I wanna meet him, go shoot with him, but Gage he's 15, about to turn 16, so he's on I want to make money, which is all right, but I keep reminding him, you're 15, you don't have to make money. Spend some time doing what you want to do. But he's a little Jew, man. That dude is a punny pincher. Although last night he surprised me, right? He got that tandem cross lower. She jumped out of it. That sucks. Nuri, I hope I said that right. How are you doing, man? Greetings from America and Wisconsin. But he went last night. He's like, what discount do you get for tandem cross? And I told him. And I'm like, why? He goes, I want to order some magazines. I'm like, really? I'm going to get you some for your birthday? He goes, no. I'm going to order some magazines now so I have it for the next Steel Challenge. And he went and he ordered a 6-pack. I think it was he said $156 for 6 of them. But that's the first time I've ever seen him spend money on something like that. He saves his money. He went to Spain this last year. I think he spent $200 while he was there. And he didn't come back with any souvenirs. He saves his money, which is a really good thing. But for him to say, hey, I like this gun and I want to get magazines for it was kind of impressive to me, because that's not who he is. I keep goldfish in our troughs. They eat the algae, and some of them have survived for years. Yeah, that's what ours used to do. And the mosquito larvae, they would tear that up pretty good. But I'm going to get another one, but he will at least 2 pounds. There you go. Grilled cheese mouth, how are you doing, man? Thanks for stopping by and hanging out. Dude, he does. He is, like I said, most kids, they want to make money so they can spend money. He wants to make money to save money. I know a guy who's multi-millionaire, and we were talking with him one day, and this dude's humble. He drives an old truck, wears nothing fancy, lives in a real modest house, and him and Gage were talking, and he said, Gage, the key to wealth is simple. He said the easiest way to have money and become wealthy is don't spend your money. He said if you want to have money, you don't spend money. And for whatever reason, he makes a point, right? That's how you do it. I'd look at a picture, but I don't think you can post it on here, man. It's all text only. If you have a channel, hey, obviously you have a channel, post it on your channel. But with what I need to do to find your channel is go in one of my shorts and leave me a message, say you were here in the live. And when I get done with the live, I'll get that message and I'll come to your channel and I'll look at your fish. It's hovering at 5.4, 5.5 grains. Now I want to be like 5.5, 5.6. So really, after you make an adjustment, you do a couple powder drops, and then it actually is about where you want it. There you go, Orange Smoke. Appreciate you, man. Always appreciate you. Yeah, that's exactly what we do with it too. It goes right back. Oh, goes right back into their shooting funds. Yeah. Look here. I'll screenshot that. Like I said, though, if you want, leave me a message in my short and I'll find your channel. That's the easiest way. I screenshotted it and hopefully I can find it that way. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Come on, bump up a little. Orange Smoke, I don't know. Obviously, I don't think you'll make it anymore this year, but next year for sure, man. Swing over to Wisconsin for a steel challenge match or something with your son. Bring your wife too. She'd probably have fun. Or leave her at home. Depends how well she does riding in a car for a while. Your kid would love that. There we go. Let's drop a couple more. I think next year, pretty much exclusively, with the exception of pistol caliber carbine, we're going to shoot that up with all rimfire, provided nothing crazy happens with rimfire ammunition between now and then. It's good for me and for them to come back to something that's not got any recoil. It's not loud. They're accurate. It really reinforces your fundamentals. So there we go. It's hovering between 5.5 and 5.6, which is right where I want to be. So obviously, Orange Smoke, this is still that Lead Precision. I think I said that already. But we're rounding up on that 10,000 rounds. So we'll give some initial thoughts and stuff on it when we hit that. Oh yeah, he absolutely wants to try the best brats in the country. I don't care what anybody says. Wisconsin, Johnsonville brats are good. I'm not saying there's not others out there that are good, but most of them are good. And of course, like everything, how they're made. So that's the thing with Wisconsin is like grilling brats is like going to church. It's religious. But yeah. Heffy, what causes a failure to return to battery guide rod issue? So a failure to return to battery could be a lot of things. Sometimes it's ammunition related. It can be profile of the bullet. It could be your chamber. If it's a gun that's been proven, so there's proven reliable in the past, it's probably not that, but definitely clean it. Sometimes some flits, don't use a Dremel, sometimes flits on a Q-tip and just kind of polish out the chamber a little. Helps with that. Sometimes it's the recoil spring getting weak. So I guess my question would be, what gun is it? is it a gun that's been proven reliable in the past? And then I'll start asking questions from there. Sometimes it's just weak ammunition that's not throwing that slide hard enough. Your Walther PDP with a ton of rounds through it. Change the recoil spring. I think you've shot the hell out of that, so it's probably time for a new recoil spring. Recoil springs don't last tens of thousands of rounds. Usually around that 5,000 round count is about the time to change a spring. Now, will guns go longer? Yeah, significantly longer. But when you start racking the gun, you're like, oh man, it's just gotten smooth. Well, it's gotten really smooth because the spring's starting to wear out. So I would say that a couple of jams, turn the battery, factory blazer. Yeah, so 115. That's the other thing, like I was saying, is it's soft. It's a light load. I would bet if you used a little hotter cartridge, it would throw that slide with a little more velocity, and it would again return a little more velocity. But I'm going to say change your recoil spring. I almost guarantee that. Little flits in the chamber never hurt either. No, I'm not ammo. I'm much cooler than ammo. But it's funny how many times Ammo and I have been on lives and we're both sitting here loading ammunition. I swapped the plastic one out for the DPM guide rod a long time ago. I know a lot of people seem to have issues with them DPM guide rods. They say they're good at first and they break them up, and then after the round count starts stacking up, they seem to have issues. Ammo. We were just talking about you, man. How are you doing today? So I was going to tell you, Ammo, and I didn't want to sit and text this all. So on your CZ, you have, when you, I don't know if yours has which screw it is. So when you pull the trigger back, if there's a screw straight in from inside the receiver, that's your pre-travel adjustment. Or there's one on the bottom going straight up. I don't know which style your trigger has, but either one of them, if you're not getting that double action reset, turn that screw out about a half to a full turn, and that should give you that reset. You're wrestling willingly, like how you doing, Chanson? What's big with you today? I gotta work on some ammunition for my two kids. Mine's all loaded. I worked on that this week. But Harley's out, so I gotta load for her. Gage has enough, but I'm gonna sit down here for a little while. We'll crank some rounds out. This is probably one of the worst things about this style of a press, is it's got the tubes you gotta fill, and you manually drop them in. It's slow. They do make a funnel that goes on top that you can just shake, but I don't really want to spend money on it because, you know, it's given to me. So we're gonna wake a few days after breathing all that drywall. Yeah, he is. He ain't fooling me, man. That wasn't drywall dust. That was powder donuts. I know for sure. I know a powder donut dust when I see it. Llama, Tactical Llama, how are you doing, man? What's big with you today? Yeah, they're going to be just standard 9mm. It's for Harley. It's going to be a 115 RMR with 5.6 grains of CFE. it's a stout round, but with her gun having the comp, it's like a super soft load. We'll do a few here, drop them down, run the press, and then we'll check the powder again, see where it's at. Hopefully so it can get live to pop off sometime today. There you go. Alright, Orange Smoke, get some footage, man. Shoot that shotgun too. I'd like to see that. Ready to head up to buddies. Yeah, you have a good day, man. Shoot safe. Get some footage. If you don't want to post it, just send it to me. You're on back. Not sure what you mean on that. Oh. Yeah, I'm curious about that. Did I miss radio? I thought radio. Yeah, you are there. I'm sorry, man. How are you doing? Hope you're having a good day. Hey, all you that are in here, I really appreciate the support you show the channel. And I'm gonna ask one more thing of you, and this goes for Ammo's channel, Tactical Llama's channel, all your guys' channel. When you go in and obviously you leave a comment, you put a thumbs up on it. Do me one more favor. If you know the other guys in the comments, even if you don't, and they put a thumbs up in their comments too, that seems to be helping that algorithm. It shows, I think it shows, I don't know, more likes or whatever. That's positive content. So obviously do it in Chanson's videos, do it in Radio's channel, Tactical Llama, do all that. But so, Oldham's Shell, how are you doing? I've been trying to do that too. I mean, everybody right now I think is taking a hit from YouTube. I know a few people are getting real discouraged with it, and it happens. Hopefully it straightens back out, but I don't know. I think after like major events, they kind of suppress firearms content. I've noticed that before, but never know, man. You know. Yeah, it shows engagement. It helps. So, if you guys don't want to, that's great. But it was something that a while back I started doing, and it shows that viewer engagement and the likes. Just like obviously, double tap the screen if you haven't. All that stuff helps. We're all trying to do the same thing. We're all trying to share our content, connect with people that we've had opportunity to meet on here, right? And promote our sport and our hobbies in a positive way. There's plenty of negative people out there that do things the wrong way. So I'll end up back right where I started here. Even though I have no cut. Yeah, nobody ever gets notified of anything. I don't ever get notified of you guys' stuff either. Let's see, I missed something here. I don't like the Hallison Vulcan I bought. Started looking blurry. I went back to a red dot. You know, take this for what it's worth, but I have that Gideon Omega. It's $100 optic. Take a gamble on it. I don't dislike that optic at all. I put that on Harley's pistol. We shot it a little bit yesterday, and I do not dislike it at all. It's got a green dot. It's a 3 MOA. I don't know how long it's going to hold up. I can't say that, but what I can say is for $100, you should check it out. Yeah. All right, Nikita, I appreciate you coming back, man. Candy Cane, how are you doing, man? How's everything going? Hope you're doing well. We're gonna use CFE for Harley. About 5.5, 5.6 grains. It's kind of bouncing a little bit. Sometimes, depending on the type of powder you have, it's hard to get it exact. Like with the small ball powders, you can get a perfect powder drop each and every time. With the CFE, it'll fluctuate just a little bit, just a tenth of a grain, but it's, I mean, well within spec. But CFE is a NATO approved powder. It's actually it's a medium burn rate, and it creates good velocity. And it's being a medium burn rate, you use enough of it to create enough gas to make a comp work. So in her gun, it shoots really soft. In Gage's gun, it's got a lot of muzzle flip to it. The Sally Wolf EDG. Have you had it out shooting with it? So yeah, that's what I was saying, Mason, yesterday. Is, you know, I don't think anybody would be disappointed with that optic. I was impressed with it. I got it just for shits and grins to try something until we got some delivered, and I bought a second one. So I don't think it's a bad dot. We'll see how long it lasts. Mark Bronson is a pretty cool shit. So I have a direct line to him if it's ever an issue. Last night my live only did 5 to 6 subscribers, no more that wasn't subscribed, which isn't normal. I've had that too, where I've done lives and got nothing out of it. Usually, unlike a gun table live, I can get 30, 40, 50 subscribers. But keep in mind, guys, right? It doesn't matter how many subscribers you have. It doesn't matter how many subscribers your stuff picks up. Because when you post content, when you post your videos and your shorts, if them people aren't watching your content, it doesn't really matter how many subscribers you had. What matters is the number of views in your content. Unless, you know, some channels, they're really big on the lives, and you get monetized with that. You make money on it, you know. Have you guys seen any commercials in this one? I don't think I turned it on. I should have. Llamas, sometimes they just mess with it. Yeah, they do. Absolutely. Send you some of that optic. Yeah. So ammo, as an electrician, why the hell are you working on drywall? There we go. I didn't think electricians did that. Ammo's a solid dude too. I like him. He's cool people, man. I wish I lived closer to him, or he lived closer to me. How am I gonna say it? He'd definitely be a dude that I would harass, and his wife would be upset because I'd be having to make poor life decisions. Paul, how are you doing, man? about to start cranking out some ammunition for my daughter. The other thing with this press, and again they sell it, is they sell a bullet feeder, which are not expensive, but it's not something I'm going to hang on to. I mean, it's mine. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. Probably give it to my oldest. But it's not bad for the money. It'll get people going. So again, I'm not going to try to ignore anybody. 22, no, these are going to be 9mm. Just 115 grain RMR with some CFE powder. .120, that'll work. Of course, make sure they're passing case gauges. These tubes, they hold, I think it's like 110 9mm pieces of brass. So you'll be able to see, even with me stopping and looking over, it doesn't take long to crank it out. I prime, deprime and prime everything off presses. It doesn't matter what press I have, you always have issues with the primer system. So you just do that. Yeah, so for a new guy starting out reloading, there's a lot of options out there. Turret presses are a good way to go. They're faster than a single stage. And you're manually cycling the turret, so you have a little bit better control of what's happening. It's a little easier to pay attention. Less likely to get a squib. I actually, when we were shooting Major yesterday, I had a squib in there, and it was fucked up because when I was down here, I'm talking to Harley, and she reached back here a couple of times and grabbed Sharpies and put Sharpies back. So I looked up at her, and I'm pretty sure I missed a station. I probably didn't do a full stroke because she was standing here. I want to get into reloading. It's a whole lot. Yeah, it is. So there's two types of reloaders. You have the reloader that shoots so they can reload because they like the reload and they like the science of it, testing that way. And then you have the reloaders the shooters that have to reload so they can shoot. Nowadays, with 9mm ammunition and components being expensive, you can pretty much buy factory 9mm ammunition cheaper than you can reload it. For me, I don't know, man. I kind of like doing it myself. I like being able to tailor my cartridges to, like I said, with Harley's gun. So with 9mm Major, there's companies that sell it, but I don't know. You're dealing with stuff that can blow up your gun. I wanna be responsible for that, not somebody else. This one here, the Lee 6000. I would have probably preferred the 7000, but you know, you can't argue with it when it gets sent. So this, if I were gonna keep it, I would buy the bullet feeder. I would buy the funnel, so you just shake it and it fills the tubes. And then I would also buy a powder check gauge for it, so there's enough space on here for the powder check gauge. But it's not a bad idea to have more than less, right? Back when you had that squib, was that squib situation that was a reload in the factory? No. I think that was factory ammunition. We've had a few. Like the one in the MP5, that was just soft factory ammunition. The cartridge didn't have enough power to push the bullet through a 16-inch barrel. So if you watch that video, you'll see the casing and stuff get ejected and the gun goes bang. That's fairly common in 16-inch 9mm carbines. It's dangerous. Years ago we had one with Gage shooting some factory ammunition. We caught that on camera at a match, and then I don't recall if it was later that year or the next year, but then my oldest had one too, and both them situations were factory ammunition. Stuff happens, you know. So, let's see. There's something like 224. 10mm is not difficult. It's a straight wall pistol case. Rifle brass, there's a few more steps. If you were going to do rifle brass on this press, you would still need to do all your case prep before that. So you have to have your stuff sized. And you can size it on here, but the problem is you have to trim it. So it's easier to do it on a single stage press. You size it, trim it, and then you throw it in and either auto prime it or hand prime it. It's not hard. 10mm you can do all on a press, unless, of course, like me, I don't like to prime on this. So I run it through a single stage, we deprime it all, hand prime it, then run it through the press. So it's not, none of it's really that hard. It's just following a process. You know, if you can follow a recipe, you can do it. Pistol brass is almost like you can use it forever. There's a limit. Rifle brass, you know, 3 to 5 times on a piece of brass. By the time you get to five times, it starts to be dangerous. So I would tell people to start with pistol first. Just kind of get their feet wet, and then go to rifle. It's less expensive too to start reloading for pistol versus rifle. There's less tools needed. I'm really knowing where to get more paper knowledge. So it's that simple, right? Go buy a loading manual. Buy you know, a Hornady manual or a Lee or whatever else. The first half of your loading manual. So where are we here? The first 96 pages are all explaining how things work. And every load manual is the same. You know, they talk about bullet choice, bullet selection, powder choice, primers, what to look for. So that would be where you start for your paper knowledge, is just go buy a good loading manual. I would recommend either Lee or Hornady. Jay Sharp, how are you doing? Keep in mind too, and most people don't realize, like every bullet manufacturer, they kind of have their own published data. Like Hornady manual is all for Hornady bullets. Now some of it overlaps with other companies' bullets, but they do that because every bullet's manufactured just a little different, a little thicker copper jacket, a little less, whatever it is, different velocity where their bullet's going to expand or whatever. So if you're using Sierra bullets, you use a Sierra manual. If you're using Hornady, you use Hornady. Richard Lee, this is why I mentioned him. Richard Lee kind of compiles a bunch of different data from other sources and they publish it. So you can use their stuff kind of across the board with some caution. Yeah, that's where to start is a manual. And it'll tell you like for your 300, or I'm sorry, thinking about orange smoke, your 10 millimeter, it'll tell you what bullets, right? It'll tell you what weight bullets to buy, or that you probably want. It'll tell you a dozen different powders for that type of bullet weight. So that's like your first step with pretty much anything is go get a load manual, read it, and then start selecting your equipment and stuff. And the one you just showed is Hornady, correct? Yeah, that was a Hornady. The other one's a Lee. So I have a good source of load manuals, but the two I use the most is the Richard Lee 2nd edition, and then because this has the modern powders in it, like stuff that's come out the last few years, I recently picked that one up. But I got the old Hornady manual and stuff. But like the CFE powder I'm using right now, that wasn't any of my old data. Every so often, you kind of want to update your manuals because, like powder companies get bought and sold, and another company will buy it, and even though it's the same name, same bottle, it's not necessarily this exact same powder. So every 5, 6, 8 years, update your load manuals that better reflect changes in the industry. But I don't know if I'll get in trouble for this or not. But that's essentially what your data will look like. I'm not going to hold it up real long. I don't want to get in trouble. It'll tell you bullet weight, powder, powder charge, estimated velocity, how long to make the cartridge. It's recipes. It's like opening a cookbook, more or less. If you've ever made a recipe on anything, be it macaroni and cheese or a cake, you do this step, add in these components, and then you do it for this amount of time. You follow instructions, right? It's simple. More or less, reloading is the same way. Until you get into like 9mm major. And the one you showed, yeah, that's the latest Hornady one. The other was a Lee, 2nd edition Lee. Most of the places that sell components, primers, powder, whatever, they all have load manuals. Like I said, Richard Lee is good if you're using not Hornady or Sierra bullets, because they have a bunch of different weights. They have sections that are plated. They have sections that are lead, for pistol bullets. So they cover a variety of types or styles. So that's a good manual to use. But if you're loading specifically a Hornady bullet, then you use the Hornady data. Jackets are different thickness, well hardness, alloy is different. Yep, absolutely. And that's what I was saying. That's why you try to use the manual for the bullet you're using. And there's leeway. Like if you're using a Sierra bullet and you're using Hornady data, you just don't load to max velocity. You work up your load, you put it on a chronograph, you keep an eye on your brass to make sure your primers aren't bulging, you're not blowing heads off the case, you're not getting case rupture, the gun's cycling and ejecting okay. and you got good accuracy. But like you were saying, you know, reloading's a whole hobby in itself. Some people have no desire to do it, you know. I don't mind it. It's not like sometimes it's hard to find the time, but it's relaxing, right? I come down here, I'm by myself, just peaceful, right? Right, I appreciate it, man. Right on. I like the Lyman manual because it's a little of everything. It is. And I have, like I said, you know, I have them too. So the more information you get, the better. And to be honest too, like sometimes Richard Lee generally has a little hotter cartridges than Hornady. It's a good idea to check data from multiple sources sometimes. Some of the pistol loads with Richard Lee, his starting load is a maximum load for Hornady. So, you know, you're like, holy cow, the guns run fine, you know. But again, Hornady manual is for like an XTP bullet. So this is their jacket on an expandable bullet. So if you push it too fast, it just rips the pedals off. It doesn't fully get the proper expansion. So a little slower velocity. Hope that makes sense, right? Yeah. I would start with Richard Lee. That would probably be the book I would tell you to start with. Some of the newer, like, I don't think there's 6.5 in it. Or, you know, I would think they'd have a published date in here. This was reprinted in 2003. So any of the, you know, data that came available, I mean, that's over 20 years ago now. Wow, I didn't realize it. I won that book at a Wisconsin State IDPA match. I was excited to get it because that was like my second loading manual I had. My first one was a Richard Lee first edition. Which I'm just kind of looking. Yeah, that was their first edition. Richard Lee republished the second edition because, like I was saying, some of his loads are hot. So they backed off all their load data about 10%. They had firearms that were self-destructing. They were warm. Plus the fact I cast a lot. Yeah, I cast too. I haven't shot as much lead as I used to with my kids shooting. I definitely don't let them shoot a lead projectile. It's okay, but why expose my kids to lead? I do powder coat them sometimes, but like everything I have casted is already lubed, so I gotta have time to go sit out there and drop bullets. which is okay, but I don't really like doing it in the summer because it's warm. I do it outside in the garage. So it's a winter project. But yeah, I cast too. I have a Lyman lubricizer with a heat-in plate, so I can do gas checks and lube them. But powder coating them is the way to go. It's just a little more time consuming. Not really a big cost in powder coating once you get, you know, your little oven and stuff. So, gathering information first, planning on it. Yeah, get the book, man. You'll get the book, you'll read it, and it'll make sense. And then you'll start reloading and you'll reread it. If you get questions, comments, concerns, reach out, man. The whole reason I do YouTube is just to share the sport. There's a lot of people that like firearms that maybe don't have a good source of asking information. I don't know it all. But I can share the information that I've learned along the way. But I would say too, if you're serious about reloading, start buying primers. Primers right now are the cheapest they've been in probably about 8 years. There seems to be a small surplus on them. I was excited, like 2 weeks ago, I stopped at Shields and their primers were $65 for 1,000, and that's cheaper than the $100 that they were. So I bought 4,000. But brass is a very, very huge expense to reload into. So if you're not saving your brass, make sure you're starting to save it. So depending on what you're shooting and what type of gun you have, if you're shooting pistols, hammer fired guns, it doesn't really matter. Like striker fired guns, federal primers always work really well. They're soft, so they get good ignition. That's my preference. For 9mm major, I'll either use a small rifle primer or I'll use a small pistol magnum primer. And it's just because the shock cup is thicker, so you get less deformation or less primer flow. It's a high pressure cartridge, which if you saw the kind of, we don't use 9mm major brass more than once. But Federal makes good primers, Winchester makes good primers. CCI, they tend to be hard, so depending on the type of firearm you're using, sometimes you have issues with reliable ignition. Foreign primers can be a really good buy. Like, I have a bunch here yet from Argentina. In a hammer fired gun, they work phenomenal. They work great. In a striker fired gun, they don't work at all. They're too hard. Yeah. That's Sportsman. Are they a soft primer or are they a hard primer? I'll have to check some out. Liberal Tears. Screenshot that. I think it takes as long to refill the cartridge holder here, the brass holder, as it does to run the brass. I don't know if you're familiar with Ammo Alchemist, Paul. I'm pretty sure you are. He reloads too. You can be a shooter, you can be a good shooter, you can be a competition shooter and only ever buy factory ammunition. There's a lot of good ammunition out there, but most of the people, once they really start getting into the hobby, they end up reloading just so they can tailor it to their gun. Sometimes it's for gamer loads, having a super soft, light load. Sometimes it's because you get the most accurate load. Sometimes for me, having guns with comps or ports, you want more gas. You know, more gas you have, the more it pushes a gun down. So if you do it yourself, you can tailor your ammunition to your needs. Or you just waste a bunch of time and you justify it by saying you're doing it for that, like I just said. They seem to go bang in everything I own, Striker, Fire, Regular. There you go. Stock Glocks will pop off the CCI primers. Like any of mine that we've done trigger work on, they don't ignite reliably. My daughter's Shadow system doesn't care for CCI primers either. Which is okay. I mean, if I were buying factory ammunition, knowing that, I would just buy her something different. That would be a big deal. Mine's a mess too. And you can see, I don't know if you can see it, I got a pile of buckets here, containers. You separate the stuff like I was saying with rifle brass, right? I have stuff that was fired in different guns, so I keep that separate. And then stuff that has been fired once, 3 times, 5 times, or stuff that's been processed. Looks like a hoarder. It'd probably be neater if I went and bought all the same containers, but why buy containers when you can just get them for free? But yeah, post reloading footage, man. What kind of presses do you have? I have 30 years experience. Yeah. I started reloading before I started shooting competitive. And I started competitively shooting in 2000. So I think it was 98 or 99 when I started. I don't do much loading for like precision rifle. I don't get into neck turning or any of that shit. I have the stuff, I have done it, but that's time consuming. If there's a reason to go that in depth with it, I will, but I'm not shooting, bench rest matches or anything like that. You have a Dillon RCBS. There you go. Which Dillon you have? I have a 750 back here. That's what I usually use. So how I got this Lee press is I broke my 750 and I was waiting for parts. and I was using an old lead turret that I had given my oldest, and I was bitching about the press, and then I got a message from Lead Precision. They're here in the state of Wisconsin. There's like a little over an hour south of me, and they asked if I would be interested in one of their presses. And yeah. So the press was free. That's why I'm using it right now. You got to show it, right? A little positive talk about it. But I've been back and forth with them a dozen times when things haven't quite worked the way they were supposed to. But I like Lee. I like the fact that they're in Wisconsin. I've shot with the guys, some of their team members we shoot with. It's a great, just wholesome company as a whole. And they definitely come in with value and options that a lot of other manufacturers don't have. Like this press, I don't know, what are they, like 400-ish? The next closest thing to it's $1,000. So $400, you can be up and running and making good ammunition. And that's 2,000 primers. Let's just say it this way: that's 1,000 primers. That's 1,000 bullets. It's 2 pounds of powder and some brass in price savings. I shoot along. Yeah, so you're going through the whole step. Like the Dillon 750 I have, I'll bet you I'm into that. The press, I want to say, with the 1 caliber conversion that it comes with, I think they're like 2,800, $3,000-ish. Then you start doing your add-ons, your automatic case feeder, your automatic bullet feeder, your powder drop sensor, all this stuff. I'll bet you I'm in that $3,500, maybe a little more, maybe closer to $4,000. By the time it's all said and done, by the time you buy spare heads for caliber conversion, you buy different drop tubes, your additional primer pickup tubes for a small pistol, additional primer pickup tubes for a large rifle or a large pistol, and everything else that goes into it. You spend some money really quick. You use the 550B. That's a good press. That's a nice little turret press. Obviously the base turns, not the top, but it's an auto index, so it's a good way to make good ammo. I think we've talked about this before, haven't we? Now I'm starting to have flashbacks. We've talked about this before. There's definitely a price point to, how can I put it? Price to value on some of the higher stuff and stuff. Yes, it's a better machine, but it's going to take a long time to pay it off. If you're just a casual shooter, a casual user, is it worth spending $3,500 to have a press set up versus this? It probably makes more sense to buy something like this. Now the Dillon's faster. This is like, I don't know, maybe 500 rounds an hour, 800 rounds an hour. The Dillon, you can do 2,000 rounds an hour, which is great. It sounds right, but you have to feed it, right? You got to have primers, you got to have brass, you got to have bullets. So is it worth being able to do 2,000 rounds in an hour? Well, either one, your time is very, very, very limited. It would make sense then. 2, you're shooting more than that. That's why I have one. But even with that, I have to reset up the powder drop and everything, going from major to minor. But it's a hobby, if you can watch like eBay or I don't think I've ever seen anything on Marketplace. Sometimes gun shows, you can buy an old used press for, you know, kind of inexpensive. That's a great place to start. Yeah. Like I said, this works a lot better right now than it did. And I wouldn't tell anybody it's a bad press not to buy it, but I will say there's limitations. There's limitations with the priming system, and that goes for the Dillon too. I have the same issues on there. The case feed's a little slow to reload. There's things, the bullet feed, again, is slow. You're doing it one at a time. But for somebody that's maybe learned how to reload already, right? Like ammo, he's already reloading. He's already reloading on a turret press. This would be a good progression for him to the next step to increase volume and efficiency. Any of your initial setups, it's a little time consuming. It doesn't matter what press you have, it's all exactly the same. Getting your sizing right, depriming right, your powder charge, your flaring, your bullet seat depth, and your crimp. Just start gathering stuff all the time. Don't get caught up in thinking that you need to buy everything. Yeah, you don't. Everything at once. You know, a simple turret press like that comes in a package with a little generic triple beam scale and, you know, just the basics. You know, you'll get started with that, and as you get going, you'll slowly upgrade other things. Yeah. It can be rewarding, right? There's interesting stuff. It's kind of, I don't know, it's a little rewarding to load your own stuff and go shoot it and have it perform well. I agree. The only reason I mentioned the Lee turret press is because you can take the index and shaft out and you can use it like a single stage press. So you can get started with that, and then you start doing the progressive or the turret end of it. So I think, I don't disagree, but I do think that the Lee turret press would be better than a straight up single stage, only because you can use it like a single stage press. So for rifle and stuff, that gives you exactly what you need. And then once you get going with the pistol, it's a little faster. That makes sense, I'm sure. Yeah, it teaches fundamentals. You will generally, I agree, you will generally see better accuracy. Not always, but generally. You got to be willing to do testing. You know, play with different powders, different bullets, different cases, different primers, the whole process. But unless you're buying higher end match ammunition, you know, the companies aren't putting top components in their stuff. There's even like for pistol ammo, you can seat the bullet closer or longer, and that'll affect how the cartridge actually feels. The longer it's seated, the less pressure it makes initially, and it also decreases the velocity with the same powder charge. But you can make it just a little softer. You don't get as much of a pressure spike. It seems stupid, but until you've compared like 5 rounds, 5 rounds, 5 rounds, go back and have the chance to compare back to back. I mean, is it worth talking about? No. When you start reloading for it, is it worth knowing? Yeah. Does it give you any real advantage or anything? No, not at all. Like I said, that goes back to just tailoring your cartridge for what you like or what you want. Paul, I have at least single stage press and powder measure and everything need to get started if you're interested. There you go. I'll make a good price. There you go. I know there's reloading groups too, like the High Road is a group. If you look up the High Road, you'll find the site. It's an online group. They have huge sections dedicated to reloading. A lot of the guys in there are extremely knowledgeable. If you want to do it or try it, it's already been done and tried, and that's just a place to ask a lot of questions. So the High Road is the name of it. I'm not sure who runs it. Guy who taught me how to reload years ago, he used to be one of their big, what do they call them, the moderators, I think. But I think that puts us at probably about 240 rounds. So not real long. I don't know how long we've been live here. 90 minutes. A little slow, but that's because I'm obviously stopping and talking, right? Yeah, a lot of the stuff for reloading is things to pick up. Like one thing to pick up would be a way to clean your brass, be it a liquid system or a tumble system. That's one of them things that you forget about, and now you have everything to start reloading. You got no way to clean your brass. The media, primers, bullets, all that stuff. Get that stuff before you get the press, you know. Get your book first. Like you, Jay Sharp, I always like helping people out. It's nice to share the information. It's nice to share the information with people that want to learn it. I need to do that too. I still use the corn media or walnut. I think the only thing that's held me from doing it is I don't want to flush the shit down my sinks, and I don't want to go from the basement all the way upstairs. So I'm kind of, just because I'm lazy, I haven't done it. Summertime, I just go dump it outside, but it does seem to be the way to go. Polish the brass and cleans it exceptionally well. I think if I were starting over and I didn't have the tumble media, I think I still got like 60 pounds of the crushed corn cob. That's probably the way I would go. But if it's not broke, don't fix it. If my tumbler died, like the next time I used it, if it died on me, then I would definitely switch processes, because then I'd have to buy the machine, right? But I've had the Lyman 1200 for, fuck, I think I got that back in like maybe 2004. So it's 20 years old. It's not going to last forever. I'm actually surprised it lasted this long. Which now, as I say that, it's probably going to die on me next time I use it. I even thought about going and buying one of the Harbor Freight cement mixers. And just, as we fill up buckets at a time, and you get a 5-gallon bucket, just throw it in there and clean it that way. I know a few people that do that. I've seen a few on like Facebook Marketplace, but obviously they've been used for concrete, so you end up scratching the shit out of your brass. I have a friend who uses an ultrasonic cleaner too. That was kind of the precursor to the liquid tumble. That works really well too, but it's slow. It doesn't do high volume. Yeah, pretty much the same thing. It's a vibratory tumbler, so like the rock tumblers, most of them are they spin. The dry tumblers that we use are a vibratory tumbler, so it's a big dish that'll sit and vibrate. You use any number of media, crushed walnut, crushed corn cob mix, straight corn cob, treated corn cob, bunch of different types of things you can put in it. Crushed corn cob is usually the cheapest, and then you treat it with either some liquid flits or some Lyman Tubble, I forget what it's called, but they're additive, or you can buy treated stuff. The treated stuff is always dusty. The only reason I don't like the Lyman is less the red polish and media all over my house and the air conditioner heater. Huh. You must be using the crushed walnut then. I don't. Yours probably has the open top too. I still have, like I said, I have an old one. So I have the solid lid. That's what I assume you're getting the dust from, right? They're very similar, but use steel. Yeah. How you doing? I'm glad you're here. What's big with you, Christian? Any good plans for today? I'm just killing some time. My daughter needed ammunition, so get her some stuff so we can shoot. I'll load my oldest some ammunition as well. Not my oldest, I don't know why I said that. My middle son, Gage. And since I'm just wasting time down here, might as well do live, right? Yeah, media is the stuff you put in the tumbler for it to. The dry tumble systems are abrasive, so you're using an abrasive material rubbing against something to clean it. Corn cob is a soft media that actually does a really good job cleaning. You have stuff like crushed walnut, and that's a much more abrasive cleaner. Like if you're picking up brass from the range and it's corroded, you use something like a crushed media and that'll clean it up. Pew Pew, or Papa Pew Pew, I'm doing good, man. How are you doing today? What's big with you? I'm doing good, just chilling. Been sick the whole week. Me and my kids. That sucks. What do you? Just a cold summer hay fever, or has vents on the top? I guess it was supposed to be able to dump the media from your brass, the tumbler, CBS. I have. That's what we use. That in a bucket. Just shake it. I think them are Dillon, if I remember right. No, they're Frankfurt. I have two of them. They're Frankfurt Arsenal. Then I have the. That might be the Dillon with the. It's like a basket and a handle. That one I use for rifle brass. The pistol brass I just use the shake method. Doing good, chilling at the house. There you go. How the grandbabies doing? I caught your live Friday, but I jumped in there and you had like literally just ended it. I sent a message and I don't even think it got through to you. Oh, you have COVID? That sucks. My mom died from COVID when we had the big epidemic. So take it easy, man. Stay hydrated. I had COVID once, and I'm sure you know too. You get like that shit in your lungs, and you can't get it out. It's like so deep. And for me, man, I went out and I just at top of my lungs, really pushed that shit out. But hers is RCBS, I think. No, it's blue. It's the it says on the side. Yeah. Like I said, I got two of them. I looked down and that one's got the label yet. I bought them. I don't remember why I bought them. I think that rotating one, it works okay, but I saw the shaky ones and they work much better. They're easy. Just shake it a few times, all the brass comes out, and you're off and going. Luckily I could. It's bad, as originally was. It's bad still, but not as serious. Yeah, I've had it 5 times. Have you ever thought about getting the vaccination? That vaccination thing's pretty, I don't know, controversial. I got the vaccine when it first happened, and this is why I got it. I went and saw my mom in the hospital before she died, like the day before, and she straight up said, "Steven, go get vaccinated. You don't want this." And so I did. And last year I didn't get the vaccine and I got COVID. I was sick. I was definitely sick for sure, like you are. I had the shit in my lungs. I was sore. I was tired. I had a fever. And it lasted, dude, I bet you a week I was sick. I'll probably, again, controversial, but I'll probably get the COVID vaccine again when I get my flu shot. It's like the flu shot. I get that every year. It might be one of them things where if you always get the flu every year, it's maybe not as bad, but I was getting the flu shot every year for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years, and then one year I missed it, and I got so sick I ended up in the hospital from the flu. So since then, I mean, religiously I get the flu shot every year. At my job, they legitimately come around on the floor and vaccinate you if you want to be vaccinated. So being you're there working and they come up and like, "Hey, you want your shot?" And you're like, "Yeah, stick me." And they stick you with the shot and they walk away, And you get a sucker. They give you a sucker. They're nice enough. Here's a little sucker. But yeah, I don't think people take quarantine serious anymore. I think everybody's kind of like started to dismiss the seriousness of COVID. It's still a serious thing. You know, I'm doing about half the dose, three lives in a row. There you go. Just staying hydrated, guys, and that's one of the biggest things. Yeah, it is, especially with the fever you get out of it. Hydrated and fueled too. You gotta push something, even if it's just chicken soup. You gotta push something through you. If it hadn't been for my mom, I would have never got the vaccine. I had no intentions of getting it, nor did I want it. But you go look at your mom, right? And she's dying. And like after her and I visited, she had me go get the doctor, and they came in and incubated her, right? Tube down her throat, and she was dead 24 hours later. And one of the last things she said to me was, "Go get vaccinated, please. You don't want this." And then it was, "I love you. Will you go get the doctor, please?" And then, the doctor came in, and she's like, "It's time." So, again, she's like, "I love you, baby. Get vaccinated." And then were the last words my mom spoke, right? So, it is what it is. I use Pedialyte hydration. Works great. Yeah, do some like liquid IV too. That stuff works really good. Everybody's different. Like blood type matters. A lot of the O positive, O negative don't seem to get it or get it as bad. I'm O positive. Like I said, I got it. Last year I had it. My wife, before I was vaccinated, she had it. My daughter had it. I was sleeping in the bed next to her. I never got it. And when my mom got it, we don't even know where she got it from. But she lived in the country by herself. She'd go into town, either the feed mill or to Fleet Farm or to Walmart. So she got it from someplace in there, and it killed her. Now, with standard disclosure, yes, she smoked. She was a smoker for years, and she started vaping. So did that affect how it got into her lungs and affect her lungs? Absolutely. My mom was young too. She was, and it seems young saying this, right? My mom was young, but she was 67. Hard worker. She was in good health. Obviously didn't drink or do any drugs, but she smoked for years, and then she quit smoking and started vaping. So the year before COVID hit, I got the same swine flu. So only the doctors could figure out I had antibodies in my system from swine flu because the vid and swine are fierce. I think everybody, like that January, when COVID just started to be talked about, like I was sick as fuck, and I thought it was the flu too. Had the flu shot, and everybody I knew had the same shit, and they were sick, and that was the swine flu that went around. I had them test. If you remember, you could have them test you to see if you had antibodies towards it. So before I got the vaccine, after my wife and daughter and shit had it, I did get vaccinated. Not vaccinated. I got vaccinated too, but I did get the checked for the antibodies because they were looking for people at that time. As you guys probably remember, they were looking for people that had the natural antibody, uh, and they wanted blood from them. So, being my wife and daughter had it, and they were looking for people to donate their blood. Um, I got checked because if I had had antibodies, because like I said, I thought I had COVID in that January. It was the swine flu, or after my wife and daughter had it, I would have definitely donated blood to try and help out. I got MRSA in my system. I can't mess with too many sickness or vaccines. Yeah, the popcorn lungs happening from vaping. I hated the fact she vaped. I don't know if I liked it or disliked it more than smoking, but I wish she would have just quit. I asked her all the time to quit. My dad died from pneumonia just before COVID hit. Totally sucks. Yeah. You know what? Like with your dad getting pneumonia or my mom, right? They were, I'm sure, maybe I'm wrong, but they were healthy. I would have never thought that, you know, my mom was going to die from that ever. I even, when she got it, I kind of like dismissed it because she was healthy, she was strong, like this isn't going to kill her, you know, but it did. That was kind of a hard thing. It felt like she got in a car accident or something. Like she's there, and then she's not there. It was just even now. I mean, we're talking what that was in 2019, right? If I remember right, 2019. So even now, after all these years, it still doesn't seem like normal. I asked my doctor too. I actually, when I had my physical in July, I asked him about COVID vaccines again, and he said, "As your doctor, I'm going to recommend that you get it." Said, it's your choice ultimately, but if you're asking my opinion, I would definitely suggest that you get it. I'm O positive, I believe. I guess any can take my blood. Yeah, universal donor. But I have to O positive blood. Yep. Have you ever, this seems kind of a weird thing, but have you ever like researched the blood types? It's kind of a really, really crazy topic. Like where different blood types came from. And what I mean is like, through historical context is like different areas in the world, bred with a different area, and it's weird. That gets down the same train as like hazel eyes versus brown eyes. What do you got going on for tomorrow? You guys doing anything? Barbecue? I think I'm gonna get the smoker out and make some ribs. I have a great big monster smoker my son bought me. It was like fucking $3,000. And I was mad. Why would you spend $3,000 on a smoker? I got a grill with a smoker. He's like, yeah, but you'll like it. And honestly, the only time I ever use it is when he's here. It's like almost like an industrial one. It's massive. It seems like, you know, a couple things that I smoke would be, it's overkill, you know. The doctor gets paid a lot for take the vaccine. Yeah, I can believe. I mean, they do, but I'll be honest. I know the guy, right? I go to his house. We go shooting and stuff, and that was his honest opinion. There's been a lot of stuff that he's told me not to. He goes, in the past, you know, as a doctor, I'm supposed to tell you this, but as your friend, no, you don't need that. You don't need to do this. Don't worry, you know. So I do think that it was his honest opinion, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I know a lot of the stuff with the vaccines. I mean, it's there's a lot of negativity to it. Like I said, come October, I'll get my flu shot again, and I'll probably get vaccinated again. If I'm making a bad choice, I don't know. You know, for no other reason, just like I said, because my mom asked that of me. I wish there was more actual, like, I don't know, impartial data towards it. A lot of the data has some bias or another, and it's hard to really know what's going on. I wish they would hold China more accountable for their role in the whole thing. That shit destroyed our economy. It destroyed our kids. I mean, my daughter, she's smart, but she's like almost a year behind her whole classes. Like a group of kids that were growing up at that time, like they lost a year of school and they're all like a year behind. My middle son, he's advanced, but he's always been advanced. Like when he was in elementary, he was like 2 grades advanced, and now he's 1 grade. My daughter, she was right where she should have been. COVID happened, and now she's behind. And it's not that she's not smart, and it's not that, you know, we didn't do the home stuff with her, but you know, world kind of changed as we knew it. Everything changed, you know. So that's another 120. I've heard some of his stuff. Like I said, it's not a hard sell for me to say I shouldn't do it and it's bad or this or that or whatever else. If my mom were still alive, she would have definitely been like, don't do it, don't get it, but she's not. And you know, one of the last things she said was, I don't know, my wife doesn't get it, my kids don't get it. They all get their flu shot, of course, but I like RFK. Uh, he's uh, he's a fucking gangster, dude. I would have loved to have seen him actually been able to get elected. I like, I voted for Trump. I, voted for Vance. Obviously, he was on the ticket, and I like them both. But I would have loved to have seen him become vice president at the very least. But I don't think they wanted him to have that much power, that much power. Fuba, or Fuba. I'm sorry, I always say Fuba. Fuba, how are you doing? Yeah, it changed the whole world, man. You know, everything changed. I don't. I mean, dude, Walmart still has the same hours they had because of it. Nothing's never really went away. Um, Not bad off, sadly. Range is close to. That's gay. I saw you shooting um, your spas. How does that run for you in semi-auto? Does it run reliably? Okay. I didn't do it in semi-automatic because I needed the little buffer plug. Yeah, they didn't last forever. They're available though, at least. It's they were cool guns, but they suffer from parts breakage, for sure. Historically speaking, it's a really cool gun for someone to have in your collection. So, congratulations on that. How much? You don't have to tell me if you don't want to, but how much did you pick it up for? There you go. He's got the Spas 12. So definitely a cool historical firearm to have. A shotgun. A shotgun is the most versatile weapon there is. From sport shooting, recreational shooting, to hunting, to home defense, to to combat. Nothing does it as well or as versed as a shotgun. To be able to go from mini shells to flares to non-lethal to slugs, it's pretty impressive. Somebody asked me, I'm only going to buy one gun ever. That would probably be the one gun, if you could only own one gun, that a person would want. Because you could small game hunt with it, you could big game hunt with it, you can defend your property. There you go. You got to have your FFL. I had one. I closed my shop in 2012. It was an interesting journey. Met a lot of cool people. The economy went south. The economy went south. I wasn't selling any custom guns. People weren't getting custom work done, but I was still selling a lot of ammunition. 2012, it got next to impossible to buy ammunition, and that was like the last source of income through that. So when that dried up and my license became, I had to renew it. It was no longer worth my time to renew it. So I think I just answered that. I didn't even see. I see it now. Wasn't worth having. Spots 12 is the best shotgun I have, but I want to the Benelli M4. Cool thing with Benelli M4 now is you can get them with the threaded barrels and the magazine extension. They call it a law enforcement model, so they're not technically I'm trying to think of what it's called now. It's import compliant. But they make, if you find a dealer that's willing to sell it to you, you can buy the compliant parts for it. They're like $200 worth of parts to become compliant. I've looked at them a few times, and actually when I bought my last Checkmate, I was looking at buying a Benelli M4, but I wanted the threaded barrel and I wanted the full length tube. Ammo. Well, you're back. I can't hear too good right now. Sorry. Don't respond. Don't sweat it, Ammo. For the trying to think of what it's called. I'm lost, but it's an import restriction where you have to have so many parts to be import compliant. So the Benelli M4 with the standard mag tube and the threaded barrels, it's not import compliant. They can sell it to law enforcement, but it's not supposed to be sold to civilians. But dealers will sell it to you, and you just have to do the compliance parts. For whatever reason, I can't think of the name of it. 922R. I think it's 922R compliant. Yeah, it's 922R. That's the law, 922R. Had to think about it. Oh no, for your your license, you don't get a tax stamp. It's just a federal firearms license. It's a 5-year license. I forget what it cost. It's a few $100s. I don't recall exactly what it cost anymore, but like I had my SOT shit, your class 3 dealer, so I could manufacture and I could sell and transfer full auto too. The SOT stuff was cool, but like when you build something for an SOT, it's not something you can sell. It's for samples or testing. So I had stuff. You have a time frame. You have to notify ATF that you manufactured an SOT item, and then you have to destroy it after a certain amount of time. And all you would do is you would take your receiver, you would cut your receiver, you would take your auto sear, and you would just remill out another lower. But the standard federal firearms license, something that people don't realize is even if you're doing it at home, the ATF will come in and they will audit you, and part of their audit is making sure that you are accurately reporting firearms. So they will walk through your house, they will open drawers, they will walk in your kid's bedroom. You know, to me it never really bothered me, and one time it did bother me. It was on a Friday night, like 6 o'clock. We were sitting down eating dinner. You know, 2 field agents came out for a home audit. You know, a little late. I think what they were actually doing, they specifically asked, is a firearm that I had sold had been recovered from a crime scene. Not a big deal. I mean, it wasn't the only time that it happened, but they do check. You know, it's almost a guaranteed when firearms are recovered from crime scenes that they do an audit on the business. And it had been sold I don't know, 3 years before that or something. So it wasn't like dude was just there, I sold him the gun, he went out and murdered some people. The guy who had possession of it wasn't even the original seller or the original purchaser. Sorry. Well, the 922R. Yeah, I had to think about that. So, no, you have to. A civilian has to have a 922R compliant firearm. There is no NFA or tax stamp on it. So, like I said, the Benelli M4, there's 3 parts you change that makes it 922R compliant. So, when I was looking at it, the dealer's a law enforcement dealer. He's like, "Yeah, I'll sell you the gun." He goes, "If you want to leave with it, you can leave with it, but it's not legal. But I can sell it to you." He said, "But this is what you should do." And he gave me the website. I pulled it up, and it was just small parts. It was a spring, a follower, and a hammer. That was 3 parts that made it 922R compliant. So the gun was like 2,800 cheeseburgers-ish. I would have been into it another 100, 150 cheeseburgers. And I would have had the extended tube with the threaded barrels. Shed Owl, how are you doing, man? I'm glad you're here. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, it is. Like I said, so if you have the second business, like, and they went out in the shop, they checked that. It's not a big deal, for me. It was no longer viable or worth my time to have it. One, you're trying to make money, so you're selling stuff. You're dealing with a lot of people. When you couldn't, people didn't have the resources to buy firearms. They didn't have it. My big niche was I built a lot of custom things and did custom work, but that dried up because people couldn't afford to buy firearms and definitely weren't building out guns. And then, all the ammunition dried up. You couldn't get ammunition. So, kind of them 3 things together was like the perfect trifecta. And it was just time. Now I could get it again, right? Just like any of you could. You could get your FFL. You just do your paperwork and you do your stuff. My property I had rezoned and dual purpose. So my house, my shop is considered dual purpose zoning, so I could have another home business legally, right? But just financially, it I don't know. I wasn't very good at selling firearms either. In fact, I was kind of bad at it. I was really good at buying them. I was really good at having samples to show. But like the whole distributing part, I wasn't so great at. Gunsmithing is, when the economy's strong, it's fun to do. It's any of the custom work is cool. If it's actual manufacturing or if it's just doing barrel work or threading or any of that. It's really cool to meet people that have enthusiasm and passion. Nowadays, I think it's a lot harder to do custom work as a business because there's so many little niche companies that do that stuff. If you want, for instance, if you want Glock slides, custom Glock slides, there's companies that sell them and they sell them cheaper than a person can produce them, right? And they come optics cut, they come, with lightning cuts and stuff. If you had a Glock slide sent to you and hey, I want lightning cuts on it, I want it milled, you couldn't do it cheap enough that they would want to purchase that, why not? What was your main problem with selling them? I'm a hoarder, man. I like firearms, so I would buy things on a good deal, and I would sell them, but I would rather show you show something to you and be like, this one's mine, but I'll get you one just like it. That's what I meant. It's kind of like a drug dealer, right? If you take a car salesman that's a car enthusiast, the coolest stuff they get, they don't sell, they hang on to. So a lot of cool stuff I took on trade or I straight purchased, I still have. You know, when I closed my business, I transferred it to me, which is perfectly legal. But doing custom work, like for a small guy getting into Cerakoting, buy a mill and a lathe, and you can start doing some cool stuff. You know, keep an eye on the local gun stores or pawn shops. When you find something that's old and beat up, you pick it up, you take it home, and you rebuild it. You customize it. You know, rebarrel it, maybe a trigger, nice stock. You know, there's money to be made that way. Yeah, CNC is good stuff. I had just manual mill, manual lathe, both. It was a Bridgeport. You know, the numeric controls the display, but it was all manual machines. I should have hung on to them. I didn't. Stuff can get expensive. A lot of people nowadays, they go with the CNC stuff, and part of me wonders how you can be profitable when you purchase a CNC mill. Like, if you're just doing custom work and you're purchasing a CNC mill, right? You gotta get the fixture, you know, get it fixtured in there. Then you have to program it and run your process, or run your program, versus putting it in a lathe and taking off a couple thousandths and then threading it, right? I went to school for machine tool, so all the whole process, everything from heat treating, hot techniques, cold techniques, to manual machines, to CNC machines, the programming. You know, I have a background in all that, and I still, you know, if I opened up my stuff right now, I would rather have, and this may be me being old school, right? I would rather have a manual machine than a CNC machine. You know, give me something from World War II that's still in good shape. You know, they hold tight tolerances. Unless you manufacture, and I don't understand how it makes financial sense to buy some of these machines. Even a used one, you know, a used 5-axis machine is still going to cost you 25, 30 grand. You know, how many barrels do you have to cut to pay off a $30,000 machine versus going and buying, you know, a $2,000 lathe, right? I think I would buy a manual lathe and a manual mill, and then buy an EDM is where it would be at. But even at that, there's so many people in the firearms community that produces everything from barrels to slides to triggers, that it's hard to be competitively priced. .1942 lathe, right there you go. It needs a little bit of work, and it should work nicely. There you go. That's the way to go. That's when they still make good machines. You put a numerical display on it, so you get your X and Y axis, and you're good to go. Tooling is inexpensive. Is it a 3-jaw, 4-jaw, 5-jaw? You know how long the bed is too? That's a big thing. Firearm stuff you don't need, you don't need a 6-foot long bed, but you still need at least something, 48 inches, maybe a little bit more. So I don't know if I even said either. This press here, you can do any pistol cartridges on. You have to change the head on it, and the case drop and shit. But you can go from small 9mm to less than 50 BMG, but all the way in between there, with just tool swapping. All right, Paul, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you hanging out as long as you did. There's another 120. Almost there. Like I said, that would generally take about a little less than an hour. It's a Monarch. There you go. I'm not familiar with the Monarch off the top of my head. I'm sure I'd know it if I saw it, but I'm just not picturing it. Any of that just pre-war to end of war was, I mean, they made good stuff then. They didn't know they were making good stuff. They were just manufacturing stuff the right way. But most of it, unless it's been like abused, I mean, it still holds tight tolerances. They definitely don't make stuff like they used to. You know, the materials that are used, the metal, the craftsmanship, just, it doesn't exist. And it was all American made. I don't even know if there's US manufactured equipment anymore. I think everything's either like Sweden, German, or Chinese. The Swedes know how to make good mills too, or good machines. Have you ever checked out that Titans machine? They have a channel. Fucking guys are nuts. They do some crazy stuff. I mean, they have like one of their CNC, can't even call it a mill anymore. One of their CNC machines is 11 axis. So these guys are just doing crazy stuff. It's 11 axis, then they have attachments. So you can put attachment on something and it has its own drive. So not only is your head spinning, you know, any which way, but now they have an attachment in there that can go inside of parts, come back into something. You know, it's just crazy stuff. 30 center to center, 14.5 swing. There you go. That'll get the job done though. Like I said, you get one of the digital displays for it. Not that you'd use it, but they're nice for quick reference. When I was in school, on the manual machines, we had the, you know, like I said, the digital displays that would show the X and Y, or the Z, if, you know, on a mill. And I started out trying to, you know, read the display and watch that. Titan machine. It's out of Texas. They actually made a bunch of stuff for Brandon O'Hara's AK-50. But you watch his channel, dude, you're gonna be like, damn, they're insane. The equipment they have is insane. I only found out about them because of one of Brandon's AK-50 videos. He talked about he was being a Titan machine, and they showed some of the stuff in there he did, and so I watched his video, and then I went in there, and they do some really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. Very smart people. Definitely, what do you want to call it? Industrial leader. You know, they're doing things that others aren't, in ways that people say you can't. DoD parts. There you go. Some of the, that's what I do for a living, is I work DoD. Contracts are drying up for that. The funding isn't there. the military funding right now is going towards tomorrow's war, drones, unguided systems. You know, the old days of wheels and tracks are coming to an end. Yeah, you'll like their channel, man. It's cool. It's just watching some of the machines in work. It's like satisfying. They some guys at Titan too, they push their limits. Like, they want to run something as fast as you can. I mean, they're not taking light pass cuts. They're going full send on this shit, and they run shit until it like it fails, you know. Some of it's, you know, content, but you know, they're big on like development and working with other industrial leaders for tooling, like types of coatings on your end mills or your drills, or you know, any of your stuff. So they do a lot of testing and stuff with that. Kind of a cool thing to do, I guess, you know. I think they only started doing YouTube, I don't know, I could be wrong. I should probably go and look before I say it, but I think they started doing as much YouTube as they did after they did work on the AK-50, because then they were like, people were looking for it. But I could be wrong. Maybe they were doing content before that. That was when I found the company and, you know, came across them. As Brandon did a video there at their shop, and then at the same time they released a video with him in their shop and explaining what they were doing and how they were going to do it. And to me, it was absolutely intriguing and very, very interesting. So I have a dual employment. If I'm working on sold or retrofit stuff, it's actual Department of Defense. If I'm working on new product that hasn't been sold yet, it's Oshkosh Defense. So I work on medium and heavy tactical wheeled vehicles, and I work with integration of global technology. So we're either taking it to new manufactured stuff, or we're taking it on retrofitted stuff. So it's weird to explain, but it's a dual employment. Depending on if you're working on stuff that's already been sold to the government, you have to be a DoD employee, or at least we do. So but depending on what we're doing, like we've been out in the Sierra testing grounds. We've, you know, Fort McCoy, Fort Hood, Red River. You know, we go around and we test stuff. Yeah, we get federal benefits. Like some of the stuff, I mean, it's complicated. It's not really as complicated as I'm making it out to be, but it's complicated the fact that I can't really say it on the open internet, right? So yeah, it's not horrible. It's not as good as it used to be, but it's not horrible. That's why, like I said, I was pissed off because they changed our retirement. I used to be able to retire with 20 years of service, and now they changed it to age. But you know, this is my 20th year. I was planning on retiring from my job, right? I was planning on being retired this year in January, and you know, I got a long life ahead of me, hopefully, but they changed it. So that's kind of a depressing thing when you think, you know, you're months away from being able to retire and start drawing your pension to, fuck, I got another 20 years. That was not part of the plan. So but it is what it is. I mean, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have been able to be employed there as long as I have. I've been able to provide a good family, or a good income for my family. That's allowed a lot of great opportunities. I've gotten to be a part of some really, really cool projects. You know, so that is what it is, right? It's just, they definitely have a disclosure agreement. And like I said, if we were talking in person, I wouldn't be holding back. But I don't know who's gonna watch this or where it's gonna come back. So you know what I mean? I gotta be careful what I say. I would love, dude, to be able to post the shit that I see every day. I mean, we work on some really, really cool shit. But I can't, you know. You know, it was really cool. Like last year, I take your kid to work day. That I got to take my middle son, and he was just in awe, you know. And it was set up so, you know, for families. So there was a lot of shit that they didn't see, but you know, we got him out riding in the vehicles and shit. We took him out on the test track, you know, and he's just like, "This is what you do all day?" Yeah, this is what I do, you know. I go out and I break shit, and they pay me for it. So, but where are we? Almost 2 hours. So, like I said, a little slow, but that's her bucket of ammunition that we sat here and loaded. I'll check it all now before I put it in a box. I'll do case gauge check on it. See if we can find one. This is used brass already, so there's usually a couple that won't pass. Yeah, see that one right there? It sticks up just a little proud. And it'll probably, yeah, that one's bad. Oh, it'll push it. So it'll push in, but it'll go in a separate bucket. That's something we'll use when we're just playing at the range versus a match. Sometimes though they won't just push in. And that's that's the brass is getting worn, and you're starting to get a slight bulge in it. So if you don't J sharp, obviously, make sure you use case gauges. The aircraft industry is pretty strong right now. Can you share what platform or no? Yeah, but I don't know if I even showed that. That's the final product. Just a 9mm, right? 5.5 grains, 5.6 grains ish. Or I'm sorry. Yeah, 5.556. A CFE was fluctuating back and forth. Maybe because the fan was on, but that's kind of normal for CFE. It's hard to get it exactly dialed in. I'll get either like 5.4 to 5.5 or 5.5 to 5.6. It'll bounce back and forth in there, which is perfectly in spec, perfectly allowed. With rifle, you would want it 5.5, not 5.56, 5, you know what I mean? But yes, with that, I'm gonna get off this thing. I appreciate you guys hanging out as long as you did. Ammo, if you're still here, I appreciate you. Mason, as always, I appreciate you hanging out. J Sharp, you're a solid dude. I'm glad you were here. And everybody else that came along the way. Shadow, you're still here, man. I appreciate you. Dude, if you guys haven't checked out Shadow's channel, I think you have. I think we all kind of fly in the same circle. So he's got a cool channel too. Yeah, it's not, And the thing is if we were sitting here talking in person, I'm sure we'd both have pictures and videos, even though we're not supposed to. But for no other reason, it's video evidence that they could use against me. I do sign a disclosure. I do sign a confidential agreement, and it's enforced. The social media thing is heavily enforced, which sucks because, you know what I mean? So, with that, gentlemen, ladies, things, I appreciate all of you guys here. Yeah, check out Shed's old channel. He's cool shit, man. I like him too. All you guys are solid people. It's people that if I knew you in person, we'd be hanging out and talking and going shooting, right? But world's a big place, so it is what it is. So I will catch all you guys another time. Maybe tomorrow I'll do a gun table live. We'll generate some stuff on that. That one I'll put commercials in. I'll get advertising for that. So I hope you all stay healthy and shoot lots. So with that, I'll catch y'all later.